Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and do a review of the Ziigaat Horizon and to go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the notes up on the screen so you can take a look at it. This will be an unorthodox review because I have to kind of go about it a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is let's pinpoint what this actually sounds like, at least in my opinion. So I'm going to go through a bunch of different models, and after we go through this, you'll get an understanding of what this actually sounds like. So before I go on further, what does this sound like? This is I would say a neutral bright IEM. It's not V-shaped, it's not warm, it's not dark, it's not bright, it's a little bit neutral bright. And I'll kind of explain, and I'm going to go over each model and you'll start to understand what I'm saying, right? So this is the Sennheiser IE200. This is brighter. This is brighter than the Sennheiser IE200. Okay, so this is the critical meta, right? So the critical meta has more warmth compared to this, and it just has a more smoother tonality compared to this. This is veering brighter, right? So this is a little bit warmer. This is the Duna Kima 2, much warmer. So this is much warmer. This is brighter. This is the Nega 5 EST. These are much warmer than this, right? Okay, so this is the Dusk. Dusk is warmer than this. This is the Softgear Studio 4. This is actually brighter than the Softgear Studio 4. So it's a little bit brighter than that. This is the Defiant. The Defiant is more V-shaped. This doesn't sound V-shaped in my opinion. And also this is brighter than the Defiant. This is the Pandemon 2.0. You can get this for like $10. These are warmer than this. This is the the Cadenza 4. Now, I actually thought that it would be similar to the Cadenza 4, but it's not. It doesn't have the bass and the impact and the power of the Cadenza 4. So they're not related. And by that same note, and I'm going to go and bring another one, it's not related to the, I thought it was going to be like, because, someone actually wrote this and I disagree with it. I saw someone selling this on AVA Exchange, and he said, oh, it's a better Tops Pro, and this is a Tops Pro. It's not the same. While this does lean a little bright, the bass on here is a little bit lacking, just lacks impact and power. So I wouldn't compare it with this, and I'm going to start telling you what it actually sounds like as we go here. It definitely isn't like the Swan NV. The Swan NV is V-shaped, nice punch, full vocals. It doesn't, it's not quite like that. This is the Dunu SA6 Mark II. The Dunu SA6 Mark II is warmer than this, even though they're both, I would say, pretty neutral. This is the Lecture SO8. This is way darker. This is the Blessing 2. This is, I would say, a little bit warmer than the Blessing 2. This is the Ziigaat Lush. This is brighter than the Ziigaat Lush. This is the Hype 4. Hype 4 is way crazy V-shaped. It's not like that. So what does this actually sound like? And I know this is going to sound crazy, but I did like extensive tests back and forth. This sounds like the Tantrum Origin. It's crazy. Like I would literally go back and I would be cross-checking back and forth. And it's to the point where I actually feel it's redundant for me to keep this because I already have this kind of sound with the Tantrum Origin. The Tantrum Origin, I know the graphs show differently. If you look at the squig graph, it's going to say that the Tantrum Origin, it has less and it's like brighter. No, it's the other way around. This is actually, they both sound really similar, but this has a little bit more bass. And it was so crazy. It was to the point I would go on the tracks, I would listen to each track, and I would go back side by side. I'm like, what the hell? They're like the same. It's just that this actually, in my opinion, has a little bit more low end, just a little bit more, and a little bit more bass. But they're very similar. I would say it's like 90% similar. So that's my 2 cents on kind of how this sounds. Now, let me go over and break it down piece by piece, little by little. So the bass is punchy, but it's not like impactful and powerful like the other ones I've mentioned. The sub bass is actually closer to correct, but it lacks grumble. And I've actually mentioned that in my notes. It lacks rumble and grumble, or that like that factor, right? So it's a little bit lacking in that area. The female vocals, they're full. They are full. They don't sound thin. They don't sound synthetic. They don't sound pitched up or pitched down. They sound accurate. That's kind of how the Tantrum Origin was too. It was pretty accurate. On male vocals, on Justin's voice, he's not pitched up. He's not pitched down. He's not thinner. He's not synthetic. It's accurate. That's how it was on the Tantrum Origin. And then on Chris's voice, it was accurate. Like it sounds, and I'm using very simple, silly terms here, but bear with me. It never at any point do any of their voices sound thin or even slightly thin or even a sliver thin, but I don't call their voices full, like on point. Like usually when I'm like, that's on point. No. It's like, it's accurate. It's correct, but it's not full like some of the other IAMs I've seen. But these overall, I would have to say they sounded really, really similar. And I challenge anyone who has both to cross-check them. Let me know what you think, because I thought they sounded pretty similar. And honestly, it's to the point where for me, it is redundant for me to keep both of these. I think the Origin is enough. But I do want to say one thing, and I do agree with Super Review on one thing. One of the things he mentioned was that this is probably the best Ziigaat model out there. And I think I would have to agree from at least the ones I've tested. So let's break it down. There's the Ziigaat Odyssey. The Ziigaat Odyssey the Ziigaat Odyssey 2, that had very bad comfort for my ears. And it was like a lispier version of the Dusk when I listened to it. And I think in many ways this is better. There was the Crescent. So the problem with the Ziigaat Crescent was that it made male vocals sound thinner. Well, these actually sound correct and full. Then there was the other one, the Ziigaat Lush. The Ziigaat Lush, while it's a great reference monitor, it's a little bit, I would say, a little bit dull, right? This has a little bit of shimmer. And then I think the rest were just like gaming IAMs, which I was like, I don't give a fuck about that. And then one of them was $400. But the problem is like, or one of the Ziigaats for $400. I'm like, that's a stupid idea, because basically now you're competing with Dusk. Now you're competing with Studio 4. Now you're competing with Cadenza 4. You're competing with the big boys or big girls, right? So it's just like they lost by doing that. And when you do that, what else is there? I think the ones I reviewed are the only ones that really matter, because I'm not going to review that $400 one. Fuck that. That's like dumb. Nobody's going to buy that. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents. I really feel that it's the Origin. It's the Tantrum Origin. And yeah, that's all I got to say.